Hey, there's Mr. Lennox. Hey, Harry, thank you. This is a true honor, and I have to give you a big introduction when everybody is here, but we simply can't express how happy we are to have you here, and it means a lot to us. So you have a lot of families popping in right now, and they're very excited to meet you.
Well, very good, Brian. Thanks for having me. I'm delighted to be here with the superhero kids. We're gonna have a good time, man. Everybody's all in their costumes. Everybody looks great.
More of a uniform.
More of a uniform. Well, who's the Martian Manhunter in here?
That's you.
Yeah, that's you.
Me.
That would be you.
That's awesome.
So there are probably anywhere from 5 to 15 more families joining us. So I just wanted to give them a moment to get here. But I mean, the Snyder cut, just phenomenal. I mean, that was just great.
Yeah, I'm so glad I'm so glad he had a chance to put it out there. You know, it didn't have to happen, but it was because of the fans. You know, fans like the people who are here on this conference, you know, that demanded it. So that just lets you know what can be done. The people themselves can be heroes, and that's what happened here. So. Yeah.
And do you see any hope that this is going to keep going? I know there are a lot of things up in the air, but it sure seems like it's gained a lot of momentum to stick around.
Yeah, I see what you see, Brian. That is that, you know, I was just on, I never even knew much about this whole sort of fan universe out there, you know, on the internet. But I saw some stuff today that said Justice League 2 and 3 are probably going to happen, that they might be done as an episode, you know, episodic. That is like a series of movies, like chunks, but on TV, not necessarily at the box office. So wherever it comes, however it comes, I know that there's a thirst for it. And I think we're going to have, you know, the people who make it come to life. So we're excited.
Mm-hmm. So I'm just waiting for some more people to get here, Harry. Maybe about 3 more minutes, because I have your big introduction that I'm going to give out. And to be honest with you, I mean, it is amazing all the things that you have done. And I mean, you make yourself available outside of movies and TV to help people. And I found that to be just very inspiring, very inspiring.
Well, I'm glad. Thank you very much. You know, I studied to be a priest when I was a young man. I was about 13 when I went into the preparatory seminary. And so the idea of giving back and of being of service, that's something that I don't do to be a good person. That's something I do really to not be a bad person. I think that if you have something that you can share and you don't, that's almost as bad as doing something that's a sin. So I'm happy to share. If people are, if you're class and your friends are interested in talking to me, the least I can do is to make some time available, because this is good for me too. So thank you for having me.
Sure. Before I give Mr. Lennox's big introduction, while I wait for a couple more people, since you have him by yourself, does anybody want to ask him any questions before we get going here? Go ahead.
Hi, Mr. Lennox. Hi.
How you doing?
Good. How are you? We are huge fans. You really have no idea how like giddy I am over here. I mean, because you've been in so many things, and I mean, even since I was younger. So I'm super excited, and I just want to personally thank you for this opportunity and doing this. I mean, my kids are, you know, this is something that's big for us, because being an African-American family and being able to talk to you right now, an African-American man, we're elated, and we just thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Rhonda. That makes me feel good to hear that, you know, if you guys are excited, I'm excited too. I look forward to coming down there and visiting you in person one day when the world opens up. So
for sure, absolutely.
I see PJ and Anna and some people there. Yeah.
Superman, go ahead. You have a question, buddy?
How long have you been an actor?
Oh gosh, that's a very good question. I think I started as a professional. actor, I was 19 years old. I'm 56 years old now. So if I do the math, I guess that's about 37 years. But I started acting when I was about your age. You know, I used to do plays at my elementary school. Pardon? You froze up on me there, my friend. Say it again.
Yeah.
Can you ask that question again, PJ, Anna, Paul, and Katie, just because it seems like there was a bad internet connection?
We should be good now.
Do you like being in movies?
Oh, do I like being in movies? Oh, yeah. You know, I do like being in movies. I get to put on a costume, pretend I'm somebody else for a little while, use my imagination, do things that, you know, I don't always get to do. So, yes, I like it very much. Yes. I see your hand.
Yeah. The S. Superman?
Superman, that's right. That's my favorite superhero. I like that shirt a lot. In our movie, he says that S stands for hope. Yes, my dear.
I love the part of General Skywalker
Swanwick.
Swanwick in Man of Steel.
You like that part, huh? Oh, I'm glad you did. I did too, you know. It was a lot of fun. I can tell. Very good. I'm glad you saw it. We had a lot of fun doing that scene.
So we're still waiting for more people to hop on here, and hopefully they'll be on anytime. A lot of times they'll run into different situations, and hopefully they'll be with us. But I mean, Harry, you've been in film, television. You're an actor and a producer. I mean, The Blacklist, Man of Steel, Batman, Superman, the Snyder Cut now, The Matrix Reloaded, and it goes on and on and on. Can you tell us any of your favorite stories from any of the sets that you've been on?
You know, it's so probably, and this is one thing that you didn't mention, I did a movie called Titus Andronicus. It's a play by William Shakespeare, very famous playwright. And I was in Rome, about 20 years ago, and we got to do a Shakespeare play in Rome, Italy. And the movie was with the great Anthony Hopkins, one of the great actors in the entire whole world, and Jessica Lange, a great actress. And so just being in Rome and being able to spend time with some of my favorite actors and my idols, that was probably my happiest time on set. Although I have to tell you, being in The Matrix 2 and 3 in Sydney, Australia was awesome too. We did that movie for about 1.5 years. That was how long it took to make that movie. We did the video game that went with it. And so, you know, being there in Sydney and eating the wonderful food and meeting the wonderful people, this is great. And this is what something like acting allows you to do. But then there are other professions as well where people get to travel, in business and even in law, in athletics, and all kinds of places. You really get a chance to see the world. And that's really one of the best things, is to get outside of where you are every day and to let yourself discover the wonderful places in this world.
Matthew, welcome to the discussion here. We know that you're a superhero in your own right, and Matthew, we're glad that you could join us, buddy. So just wanted to introduce you again to Mr. Harry LENNIX. I'm sure that you know him from many movies and TV. And Harry, so you had talked about your hero being Superman. I mean, who are your top 3 heroes that you can think of?
Well, if you mean, do you mean fictional heroes or people in real life? Because in real life, I have heroes too.
How about either one? Either one.
All right. Well, Superman is probably my favorite superhero. After him, I would say now I like this guy Martian Manhunter. I didn't even know anything about him until now. I've always loved Spider-Man. He was a lot of fun for me, and Batman. So I would say, leaving out Martian Manhunter, Superman, Spider-Man, Batman. In real life, I would say Sojourner Truth, wonderful freedom fighter, a great woman. There's also the great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who was what an inspiration for us. And then I think the greatest superhero of all time for me personally is none other than Jesus Christ, who perhaps was the first superhero, in many ways, if we are to believe what we hear about him, that he was able to defeat the forces of Rome all around him just by the power of love. That's something. So I really, I think he's number one of all of them, even Superman.
Very good. And also, I just noticed that Mr. Friedman joined us. Huge thanks to Andrew Friedman, Harry's publicist, because without him getting in touch, none of this would happen. And also to Jeremiah Council, his executive assistant. So again, we're waiting for more people to stop in. A lot of them are on different unique schedules. So hopefully more people will be with us soon. Oh, young lady, looks like you have another question. Go ahead.
You can ask the question, Superman.
What is your favorite TV show you have been in?
My favorite TV show I've been in is one that I'm on right now. And that television is called The Blacklist. It's called The Blacklist. And it comes on tonight, actually. It might be a little too mature for you kids. But it's a great show, I tell you. One day when you get to be older, you'll get a chance to see it all. But it's a terrific show. So that's my normal job, is on The Blacklist. Yes, buddy, Paul.
How many movies have you been in?
Brian may have your teacher may have a better idea, but I think something like 45 or 50 movies, quite a few, about 45, I would say. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead there, young lady. You have another question. Go ahead.
How long have you been making movies?
So I did my first movie. I was, I think I was about 25, the first real movie. No, I was 24. So I did a movie called The Package with a great actor named Gene Hackman. And that was wonderful. Tommy Lee Jones, Gene Hackman, John Hurd. That was in 1988. And so I'm just trying to do the math here again. I guess that's about 33 years ago.
Wow. So I guess I have to throw this out there. I mean, you were on the set of Batman, Superman, of the Justice League. How did you enjoy working with? I mean, those are the heroes of all of us brought to life on the screen. How was it to work with Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill and Gal Gadot? I mean, unreal.
Well, unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to work with Gail, but or Gal, I think Gal Gadot, or Gadot. I did work with Ben Affleck, however, and I worked with him in a movie before, a movie called State of Play, and we did that movie, I think, in 2008. Great guy, wonderful actor, and very smart man, very, very, very smart guy in real life. He's also a writer and a director himself, and so wonderful fellow. And then I was at the screen test for Superman, Henry Cavill, when he first got the part. And he's a great guy. So by the time we did Batman versus Superman, I had already worked with Henry, and we felt like old friends by that point. He's a wonderful man. He's actually from England, and so he does a really good job sounding like he's an all-American kid. But he's a really good actor, very handsome, very, very nice, and I had a great time working with him and seeing him again. I also got a chance to work with Amy Adams twice, and she plays Lois Lane, and she's wonderful, wonderful. And so, yeah, it's a lot of fun when you get on those big sets. They have all the toys, all the tools, They have great everything, great costumes. Everybody seems to really be able to relax and have a good time. The bigger the movie is, because there's so many people there to help out. You know, that's the one thing that a big budget, when people have more money and more time, they can relax a little bit more. So it makes it a little more fun for me.
And I had to throw this on the screen here. This, of course, is the Martian Manhunter. And I have to say that I always wondered when I saw you as General Swanwick, with your demeanor and, you know, your character and the way that you carried yourself. I mean, John Jones in the Martian Manhunter, he is the heart and soul of the Justice League, and he keeps everything on a very level moral playing field. And I always wondered, and I think we had a question here. Go ahead. Good to see you. Aaron's mom, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Hello, I just wanted to know, how was it working with Alfre Woodard and Snyder Lathan on the set of Love and Basketball?
Wow. So you guys, you just can't put a smile on my face answering me that question about the wonderful Alfre Woodard. I have to tell you, she played my wife in Love and Basketball. And so now plays my daughter, a wonderful person. But I worked with Alfre Woodard on a Disney Sunday night movie called the Isaiah Thomas story. And Alfre Woodard played a person named Mary Thomas. Isaiah Thomas was a great basketball player. He's too young, too old for you guys, for you kids to know, but he was great. And his mother raised them all by herself, him and his brothers and sisters, on the west side of Chicago. And so I play a gang leader on the west side of Chicago who's trying to recruit one of her sons. And Alfre Woodard and I come face to face, and she actually threatens me with a rifle. It tells me to leave her son alone. And so in any case, she's an old friend. She's a wonderful, wonderful person in spirit. I adore her. Every time I see her, it's like old home week. I fall down at her knees and hug her. And so she was great. And of course, Snyder Lathan comes from Hollywood family. Her father is Stan Lathan, who's a great producer, really doing a lot of work now, did a lot of television stuff in the past, has worked with everybody. And so, yeah, they were great. It was, what a wonderful movie that was, Love and Basketball, written and directed by Gina Prince Bythewood, who's a terrific talent. She did another movie recently called Beyond the Lights. So I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you.
Oh, looks, we have another question back there.
Hi.
Green and red arrow. Oh, back here.
What was it you asked me?
About his movie. Is he gonna get his own movie?
Is the Martian Manhunter gonna get his own movie?
If you insist, Red Arrow.
We do. We do so.
Okay, great. Well, listen, I'm all for it. I heard Debbie Snyder, who's Zack Snyder's wife and producer, wonderful producer, that she was very interested in seeing more about the Martian Manhunter. So I hope that we do. There's no guarantee yet, but listen, what's happening is people are very excited about the movie, and I think we might get to see the Martian Manhunter again, even if it's not his own movie. He may be a character in one of the other superhero movies, and maybe he'll show up.
I hope so.
That'd be awesome.
Me too. Me too.
Oh, go ahead, Brianna Smith. You had a question back there. Go ahead.
Introduce yourself.
Hi, my name's Amaya. I have two questions actually. The first one is, what inspired you to become an actor? And the second question is, what techniques do you use to get into character?
Wow, these are pretty advanced questions. That second one is I got to think about that. So I'll answer the first one first. So when I think I was not eight years old. I was in second grade, so I might have been 9. But my brother was in a skit. He did this little scene, and it was in our church basement of the school. I went to a Catholic school called St. Bride. And my brother was playing a tough guy on the corner. and somebody else in the scene came up and hit him on the head with a baton and knocked him out. But it wasn't a baton, it was actually like a rolled up piece of paper, like, you know, like this. And so they walked up behind him and bam, popped him on the head. A few minutes later, you know, I was very concerned about my brother. I didn't know really that he was play acting. And so a few minutes later, I saw him walk out from the side entrance and he was perfectly fine. And I asked him, I said, Larry, are you okay? And he said, man, yeah, I was just acting. And so then it seemed to me like it was a magic trick. It was like the greatest trick I'd ever seen, that he could be somebody else and pretend to be hurt and not be hurt. He could pretend to be a gangster and not be a gangster. He could pretend to be many things and not actually be those things. And so that's what sparked my interest in acting. And so I wanted after that to be able to do that trick. That's a fact. Now, when it comes to acting techniques, Omaria, I think you said your name was? Maya?
Yeah, Maya.
Maya. I think it is, I've changed in my technique from over the years. You know, I used to be what we call a method actor. And that is that a method actor typically uses their own memories and their own feelings, and they project that onto the character that they're playing, right? They live with the character all 24 hours a day. They think like the character, they dress like the character, they walk and talk, they try to put on internally in their heart and mind and spirit, they try to adapt to the character. Now, that's one method a lot of Americans are very fond of. And then there's the method which I just call the external outside in method, where I find a walk or a way that the person sounds. And so it's very, very technical. So if I'm playing somebody from France, say, I'll listen or I'll try to learn French. If I'm playing a musician, I'll try to learn a song playing that instrument. And so it really, that way, it seems to me, if you put on the costume, it's almost like putting on a mask. I'm looking at, you know, at Green and Red Arrow with their masks on. You know, sometimes when you put on the mask, if you put on the makeup, it provides all of the work for you. And it somehow, I don't know how, you put it into your personality, and it gives you all of the information that you need. And it's almost, again, almost like a magic trick. But now I try to create the character, the external things about the character, how he walks, how he sounds, how he thinks, what words he stresses, what words he forgets or passes over, what rhythm they speak in. Does he walk with a limp? Does he have a cane? Does he have, you know, what kind of clothes does he wear? So these are the things that I start with now, is from the outside, and then I let that go in.
So Harry, I mean, you're playing a hero on screen, but as I look through your resume from Mr. Friedman, I mean, you're so active in the community. And as I look through your resume here of things that you do, I mean, tell us about, you know, some of the things that you're trying to do to change the world in a positive way. And along with that, what message can you give to these youngsters to, you know, make the world a better place as you're trying to do?
Well, thank you. You know, again, when people tell me that I do things outside of acting that are important, you know, it seems to surprise me for some reason. But because for me, it's a part of my obligation as a citizen, just as a person who was given a life and was given an opportunity to make decisions and to make those decisions real. And so I'd like to do things that are helpful to the people who I came from. That is to say, on the south side of Chicago, there's a lot of people who never get paid attention to, and who I know can be beautiful. You know, when I look at a classroom of children, I was a school teacher for 8 years, by the way, in the Chicago public school system. And you walk into the classroom and you see all of these people with great potential, people like yourselves, people like on this call. And that if anybody could see it and recognize it and tell the student or tell the person, hey, wait a minute, I see something special about you, then that's all, sometimes that's all it takes. And that person who nobody else thought about can change the world. You know, this is something I told you guys a little bit earlier about the Jesus Christ is a great superhero. And he said this about one of his disciples, just a fisherman. Nobody paid any attention to Peter. You've all heard of Peter, St. Peter. Well, he said that the stone that the builder rejected has become the cornerstone. And that to me means that the thing that nobody thought about, they cast it off like the core of an apple or a banana peel. Nobody paid any attention to it. But it has become the most important principle and person in the entire kingdom. And I think that that can happen all the time. And so I'm always looking for the stones that the builder rejected, because I know that that person, those people can change the world. It happens all the time. The youngest son of Jacob becomes the most important of the sons, the ones that they sold into slavery and all of that. So, you know, this happens. A man that came from a little village in Nazareth, nobody cared about, became the most important person ever to walk the face of the planet. So this is what happens all the time if a person believes in themselves. And so all I'm doing is trying to extend and to instill the sense of belief that every one of us is vitally important and can change the world. I'm not overstating it. Everybody on this call can change the world if they believe and if they put that belief into action. And there's all kinds of stuff that you can do to put that belief into action, but most of it starts with believing in yourself. So believe.
Leila, I think you had a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I got on a little bit late, but I don't know if this is already asked, but what was one of your favorite roles you played?
So, you know, it's very interesting, Leila, because people have talked about the movies and the television shows that I've done, because that's what most people have seen. But I started out acting in the theater, on the stage. And the favorite role I ever played was from a novel called The Great Gatsby. And one day you'll read The Great Gatsby if you haven't already. And I played Jay Gatsby, and he's the leading character in the novel. He's a very interesting man. This is set in the 1920s, so about 100 years ago. But he's a fascinating character, and that's probably the favorite part that I've ever played.
So anything else that you can tell us, words of wisdom? I mean, you seem like a very well-traveled, well-rounded person with a wealth of experience in so many things. I mean, what other words of advice can you give to us based on all of your wonderful experiences?
Well, Brian, I think I guess at this stage in my life and career, as you say, I've had a lot of experiences. And I think what I've learned the most is that those things that have frightened me or made me uncomfortable as an actor, as a musician, sometimes as a businessman, writer, but this is the profession that we're in, where you have to embrace your fear. That is to say, you have to find the thing that scares you the most, and you have to investigate that. You have to learn to understand it and to think about it. And so, you know, those things, and you're scared to take a test, you're scared to meet new people, you're scared to that you can make yourself face those fears and those things that you're not quite sure about. And by learning more about it, by being curious, by being open to the experience, you can actually change it. And if you can't change it, you can change your thinking about it. And so I think that that's the advice that I would give, is if you're afraid of the timetables, if you're afraid of English grammar or of spelling, of the test that you have to take, that if you really bear down and you put your energy into it and you force yourself to deal with it, then it can change your thinking about it. And that is a lot. So that's what I say, is that now I know what it is that I don't know, and I'm not afraid of what I don't know. with these computers and these telephones, you can find out what it is you don't know. That information is out there. And so that's what I say. That's my best advice. I see we have another question from Keely and Jennifer, I think.
So, is there a role that you would like to do that you haven't done before?
Yeah, there are a lot of those. Thank you for the question. A lot. One of them is I want to play the great musician Duke Ellington. He was one of the greatest composers and musicians and piano players in American history. And I play a little bit of piano. I have a piano just over there in the corner of the room, but I practice a lot. And one day I want to play him. So that's my next big wish.
Okay. And was there a challenging role that you had?
I have to tell you, all of them are challenging. There's not one role that is easy. If it seems easy, then you're doing something wrong. That's what I say. Even if it seems tough, sometimes you might be doing it wrong. But if it seems easy, you're doing something. There's always more to learn about the character. So I always look forward to researching the character and finding out more about it. That's where the real magic happens.
Okay. Ask it.
I think Brianna's family, you had a question. Thank you for being so patient. Go ahead.
Hi. So is there a character that you feel most connected to? That you feel that you have a connection with?
I like that question, Bo.
Yeah, that's a great question. One that I filmed that I feel most connected to, I would say, is the character in the movie called Keep the Faith Baby. I played a very famous man named Adam Clayton Powell Jr. And I felt very connected to him. He was a man of the cloth, that is to say he was a preacher, but he was also a politician. He was also a very, very smart guy who did a lot of work for his community, loved Harlem. He was from Harlem. I'm in New York right now. And so, yeah, he was the one I would say that I felt that I was born to play. Yeah.
Layla, go ahead. I see you have a question there. And just to brief you on the time, we probably have about 5 minutes left. And I know some of you want to ask questions. Mr. Lennox is on a very busy schedule, so please make sure that you ask any questions. I think Layla has a question, and then Matthew.
Hi. So I also would kind of like to be an actor when I grow up, and I wonder if there were any mistakes or tips you would have.
Well, there are a bunch of mistakes that you are going to make and that you should make, and make them, and learn from. See, that's the thing. The only thing is you have to learn from the mistake. But it is vitally important that you make those mistakes. That is, if you go too far, you don't go far enough. That is to say, in rehearsal, and you can't remember your lines and all of this. Those are mistakes you're going to make. You approach the character the wrong way. So make those and learn from them. And then, and I would say the tips are: be bold, be brave, be brave. Brave is not the absence of fear. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the presence of fear, but doing it anyway. And so I would say be bold, and that if you are brave in that way, something beyond yourself will help you through that process. But that's the most important thing that you can be. And then you have to be curious. You have to always be looking at things, studying things, remembering what somebody does in a moment, even if it's an uncomfortable moment. For example, how do people act when they don't feel well, when they're sick? What did it feel like if somebody close to you died? Or, how does that, because all of those things are going to be part of your process and part of your equipment in the real world. How can you mimic something? How can you represent something if you haven't felt it or experienced it or seen it or observed it? So always be looking, always be studying, and you'll be very well off.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And Matthew, did you have a question, buddy? We don't want to forget about you. Go ahead, partner.
How did you like working in the Matrix?
Say that one more time, Matthew.
How did you like working in the Matrix?
Oh man. So Matthew, I have to tell you, I didn't think I was going to be in it. You know, I have a good friend that plays Morpheus in it. His name is Lawrence Fishburne, wonderful actor. And we had always sort of not been able to be in a movie together. And so it felt great. You know, we started the movie in Oakland, California, back in the year 2000. I got to do that movie for a year and a half of my life. I made great friends throughout the movie. We shot in Australia. That's where we finished most of the work. We did about a year over there. So I was in, you know, for a whole year of my life, I was in Australia meeting people, learning, and doing this magnificent movie, which is one of the smartest movies ever made. You know, they put a lot in that movie. It's more than just fights and bullets and things being, you know, people dodging bullets and so forth. There's a lot of philosophy. There's a lot of life lessons in it. It even gets to the very point where, you know, the Matrix asks the question, well, what is real? Is this life that we're living, is that actually the real life, or is there some other reality that's even more profound, more true? So I like questions like that, and being in a movie that asks those questions and provides answers for them was a lot of fun. But the experience outside of the cameras, where I got to run around Sydney Harbor and hang out with some guys and shoot some pool in Australia, that was a lot of fun there. That's where you cement relationships that last the rest of your life.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So what if we take, I see we have 3 more questions. What if we take those and then we'll let Harry get back to his busy schedule here. So Mr. Lennox, I'll let you call on whoever you'd like in any order you wish.
All right, I'm having a hard time. I'm gonna say Aaron first because that's the hand I see first. And then I'm gonna see if I can't find the other people with their hands up. But let's start with Aaron.
So due to the pandemic and a lot of the movie theaters not opening or closing down, do you think you'll ever do like a short series on Prime Video or Netflix?
Well, I'm at this moment, I'm trying really to get some other projects up on television, you know, whether it's cable, streaming, Amazon, those kinds of things, network TV. But as far as being an actor, it's hard for me to do because I'm on a series now. I'm actually on 2 series. So I don't have the time in my schedule to be on another series. But yes, I want to produce shows that go to those other platforms. And so I'm working on that every day. Every day I do that. So, and then I see Brianna over there, that panel.
Hi again, Mr. Lennox. This is Aiden. He's super shy, but he has a question for you.
All right, Aiden.
Hi.
Hey.
Favorite color.
What's your favorite? Say it again, big boy voice.
What's your favorite color?
Oh, my favorite color? I'm gonna see if I can find an example of it here. Yeah, I don't have it around here, but I would say purple, something like that color.
Ooh, purple.
That's my favorite color.
It's the color of royalty.
That's right. That's exactly. That's right. That's why they call me Harry the King. Aiden, Harry the King. Yes. Go ahead, Anna. I think, or Katie.
Anna.
Who is your biggest fan?
Probably my wife. My wife is my biggest fan, I would say.
Oh.
Yeah, she was. I met her after I was doing a show on Broadway, and we met and we fell in love because of that show. So I would have to say that I don't get to marry every fan, but I married one. But listen, but you and I are also friends for life. So we are joined. We're just not, I can't marry everybody. I think Jennifer Keeley has one.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Have you ever done something like a bird scene to where you don't care about anyone else's opinion on how you did?
That's a very good question. I was willing not to let whatever anybody else cared get in the way or stop me from doing something. But if I were to be honest with myself, you know, as an actor, we always care, because if nobody cares, you're not going to have anybody to perform for. So we have to always be thinking about the audience. We have to always be thinking about our clients, about the people that we're representing in some way. But sometimes, if you must do it, if it's the only answer, the only right thing to do, no matter if it's popular or everybody disagrees with you or you wind up losing friends. I have had those occasions where I risked friendships, very long friendships and very long relationships with people in my family, where if I did something or said something, well, that would be at stake. But sometimes you have to do it. But yes, I don't think I've never not cared. I do care. It's like when I was talking to Layla, I think about bravery and courage. It's not that you don't have fear or that you don't have concern. It's that you are willing, in spite of that, to move forward. And that really is what adulthood is all about, is that you know what it is to do and you do it. And that's the difference between a moral person, an ethical person in some way, and a non-ethical person. Doesn't mean they're a bad person. It just means that they are not a brave person, you see? So that's my answer.
So first of all, super family, super kids, thank you for being here. Mr. Friedman, thank you for making this happen. And Harry, thank you. If we could give him a nice round of applause for being here with us tonight. We wish you all the best of luck in all that you do. And thank you for taking the time to be here.
My pleasure. I can't wait to come back. I'll come back anytime. You just let me know.
Thank you
Thank you,
to
buddy.
Brian.
Thank you.